Hello friends, welcome back. Welcome to the another screencast of CodeOneDigest. In this video, we'll cover what all different HTTP response codes we have. Let me quickly recap what we covered in my previous video about HTTP methods. We covered what all HTTP methods we have. We also understood the usage of those HTTP methods and understood what all different HTTP methods like get, head, post, put, delete options. We also tested these methods in Postman tool. So if you have not seen my previous video about HTTP methods, so please go and see that video. It is very useful video. I have shared the link of that video in the description section of this video. Please have a look. So now what we do is in this video, I'll proceed with HTTP response codes, what all different HTTP response codes we have and how can we use them in our applications. So stay tuned till end of the video. Now let's see what all different HTTP response codes are available. HTTP response status code indicates whether the specific HTTP request has been successfully completed. So the response codes are grouped into 5 different categories. Informational response, that is from 100 to 199. Successful responses, that is from 200 to 299. Redirection messages are from 300 to 399. Client side error response, that means if there is any error in a client provided data, so that will come with a response code as 400 to 499. And server side error responses comes from 500 to 599. Server side responses may be if the server has got down or it is down for some maintenance work, then we'll get this 500 to 599 response codes. Let's understand what are informational responses that ranges between 100 to 199 as a response code. Response code 100 means continue. This response indicate that the client should continue the request or ignore the response if the request is already finished. Then 101 response code means switching protocol. This code is sent in a response to upgrade request header from client and indicates the protocol the server is switching to. 102 response code is processing. This code indicates that the server has received and is processing the request, but no response is available yet. And 103 early hint. This status is primarily intended to be used with the link header, letting the user agent start preloading resources while server prepares a response. There are few more response code, but I want to emphasize on the important one that we use, that is our successful response codes. So successful response code ranges from 200 to 299. Response code 201 is for created successfully. The request succeeded and a new resource is created as a result. That time we return a 201 response code. This is typically a response sent after post request or some put request whenever we are trying to create a resource through a post method, post contract, or whenever we are trying to update any resource through a put contract. That time we we return 201 response code. 202 response code is accepted. That means the request has been received but not yet acted upon. Next response code is 204, that is no content. What does that mean is there is no content to send for this request. When a user sends a request in form of URL, and if we don't have that resource available, then that time we say 204, we can return 204 response code. Partial content is 206. This response code is used when the range header is sent from the client to request only a part of the resources. So these are some important response code that a developer can use while creating an API or a web application and set the response code so that the consumer application or consumer API understand what happened at the server side. The third response code type is a redirect responses that ranges from 300 to 399. Here, the most important one is the 301 that is moved permanently. We see that quite often that URL of the requested resource has been changed permanently. A new URL is given in response. So whenever, let's say you have changed the 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 link for your website or link or link to a page has changed. So what you do is you return application will return 301 response code, and in header they will also send the new link so that when the response received by a consumer with this response code they know okay, now this resource, this page or this resource is not available on this URL but it is available in a new URL being shared in a header. So this is to indicate that resource is moved permanently. Then another one that we use is 307 or 308, temporary redirect or permanent redirect. These are some important response codes that we see. Next we have is client error response codes. This response codes ranges from 400 to 499, and we often see this response code when we try to hit a website or we try to hit a API. We sometimes get 400, that is bad request. The server cannot process the request due to client error, maybe because mail form request or invalid request and so on. That time we receive 400 response. Sorry. Then next one is 401 unauthorized. This response code tells that user have to authenticate first before accessing that resources. Then we also sometimes receive 408 request timeout when this response is sent on ideal connection by some server, even when there is no previous request from the client. It means that a server would like to shut down the unused connections. Then sometimes we get 414 when the URL is too long to handle by the server. So it sends 414 response code. Sometimes we get 429 response code when any client, if the same client sending too many requests to a server, then that time we receive 429 response code. It says too many requests. So this is to rate limiting when if some client or some consumer is bombarding a server with a request, that time this response code helps in understanding what's happening on the server side. Receiving 429 means the consumer has have to slow down on sending a request. So these are some useful response code for client error response. Next is server error response, which ranges from 500 to 599. We often see 500 internal server error when server has encountered a problem and it does not know how to handle it. Hence we receive 500. That means something happened if the server is crashed or unable to uh, uh, serve you serve your request. That time we receive this 500 internal server error. 502 bad gateway also we get some time when this error comes. That means the server working as a gateway and unable to handle requests due to invalid response from the backend side. Then 40504 gateway timeout. This error response is given when the server is acting as a gateway and cannot get a response in time from the backend. server. So these are some of the important response codes that we have. Now I'll show you a demo. How can this error response code can be seen and and understand. Let's see a demo of the response code. What I've done is I have configured my application uh, to return internal server error when I'm hitting this response code. So when I hit this response code, I got 500 internal server error. In application side, I have what I have done is in this controller, I've defined this test response code and I'm calling this service class, my business layer class, this method. In this method, I'm throwing 500 error, and that is why we are seeing that 500 internal server error coming up here. So this is very useful information and we should use this HTTP method and HTTP response code in our application so that the consumer of our API, the consumer of our website, they know what's going on, what is and how can we fix this problem. So these response codes are very helpful in understanding whether the request is successfully completed, not completed, is a problem with my input parameter, is a problem at the server side, and so on. So these are really useful information and verbs and response code that we can use in our application. We have to use this mindfully, and this will make your application much more cleaner and easy to understand and easy to use. So let me summarize what we have learned in this video. We have learned that what all different HTTP methods are available and their use cases. We have also learned what all different HTTP response codes are available and their use cases. We have also seen a Postman tool. How can we use a Postman tool to test our APIs, to test our different HTTP methods and their response code. Please do like and share this video with your friends and colleagues, as this is very useful information for beginners and software engineers. Please subscribe to my channel, CodeOneDigest, for more technology related videos. Thank you.